Hello, Saginaw. Welcome to another episode of Saginaw Spotlight, where we shine a light on the incredible individuals and businesses that make our city shine. I'm your host, Alex, and today we have a truly special guest, Master Mark Kanaar, owner of Ko Tae Taekwondo right here in Saginaw. Master Kanaar has dedicated his life to martial arts, teaching students not just self defense, but also discipline, confidence, and personal growth. Master Kanaar, thank you for joining us today.
No problem. It's great to be here.
Excellent. Let's start by learning more about your journey. What first attracted you to Taekwondo?
The first thing I did was I actually did Shotokan karate. And when I was younger, I used to always like to watch like fighting movies like Bruce Lee and Bloodsport and things like that. And when I got a little bit older, I used to like to play video games that had fighting in it, like Double Dragon and Street Fighter 2. I actually used to go to Street Fighter 2 tournaments when I was like 10 or 11 years old. And I wanted to really do martial arts, but my parents were kind of poor and they couldn't afford it or whatnot. But I got the opportunity when I got a little bit older when I was in high school and I took it.
Wow.
Oh,
Awesome. Awesome.
the light went off.
Okay.
Let me come out here.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got time light, so I don't know. I didn't think about that, but
Oh,
that's
right. You got to keep moving, huh? That's the
I
way in
do.
my
It's
garage
all good.
too. That's okay. All right. So, how did your love for karate and taekwondo lead you to becoming a master and then eventually opening up your own Keiko Taekwondo?
Well, when I was 16 years old, I was instructed by a guy named Russ Wilson. I started martial arts between the ages or in between my sophomore and junior year in high school. And I actually trained a little bit before that with my buddy. His name was Mike Tiller. I used to go over to his basement and we would put on the gear and spar. It wasn't any formal training, but it was a little bit, it gave me a little bit of experience and stuff like that. But what ultimately happened is after I got, when I was in high school, I ended up getting in a bunch of trouble. I lived in Toledo, Ohio, and we moved up to Birch Run, Michigan, when I was in like elementary school. And I went from living in a city area to a country area, and I didn't really have very many friends or anything like that. And I started hanging out with a bad crowd. And one day I got in trouble for vandalizing somebody's property, and the police came, and my brother and I and a bunch of my friends were in trouble. We had to go down to the police station, and police had a talking with us. And the police was not nice to us. Let me tell you, Alex, they were pretty mean. And I made a deal with them that I'd change my life and that I would and that I wanted to really do martial arts. I told my dad I really wanted to, and my dad, being the type of guy he was, he looked at the lawyer bills and he looked at the martial art bill and he goes, "You know what, son? Martial art bills are way cheaper than lawyer bills. Why don't we get you in this?" So I started training with Russ Wilson between, like I said, my sophomore and junior year in the summer, and by December he was undercover police officer. He ended up getting shot. He ended up getting murdered in his house. So I decided after that happened that I was going to kind of take his place when I got my black belt, like in honor of him, because I really had a lot of respect for the guy. He was one of the first people in my life that I feel like kind of pulled the greatness out of me. You know how your parents really believe in you. If you have good parents, they really, really believe in you. Well, I needed
Yeah.
somebody else besides my parents to believe in me, and he did. And when that happened, it was a real big tragedy for me. I had a really hard time dealing with it, but I wanted to have the right mindset. And what he taught me was try to always think positively and, try to just pick up his cross and carry it. And when I turned 19, I won nationals and I had a black belt, and I decided to open up my own school. And, the devil may have won the battle, but he didn't win the war. And I am kind of, training people because I'm honoring him in a way. That's a strong why. I could say that for sure,
Wow.
Alex.
Wow. That's an impressive story. And it's amazing how a teacher can touch your life in such a way and dramatically change the direction of your life, huh?
Yeah, definitely, especially with mentorship. Martial arts has a lot to do with with mentorship. That person's always there for you. They help you out, everything like that. And you know, I saw something. I saw something in him. I believed in him, and he believed in me. And that's the type of bond you need to have. You know, that bond of trust with somebody like him. You know,
Wow.
that's how I
That's
kind of am with
incredible.
my students. I try to be very honest, have good integrity, be nice to them, and make them believe that I believe in more than them than they believe in themselves. You know, that's kind of how you need to build, especially kids. You know, they definitely need that.
Yeah, I was reflecting that there are certain lessons that you learn in martial arts that you don't learn any other school, right? Like,
Yeah. Well, like one of the things I always tell the students is if you're coming to a martial art class, you're learning about discipline. And when I was a kid, discipline was, you know, like me getting yelled at or maybe a spanking from my parents for being bad. And then they'd always tell me how much they cared about me. And that just didn't make sense to me. I was like, you know, I'm getting my butt whooped for being bad, but you tell me you love me and you care about me. That doesn't make any sense. But the reality is discipline is really how much you care about yourself. And your parents, they can see something great inside of you maybe you can't see yourself, and they need to direct you into that path to make you understand that you can be a better version of yourself. You know, that's very, very important. And that's what martial arts teaches. It teaches the discipline that a student has to, you know, go home and practice and work on their moves, and they can feel an empowerment working on these techniques. But it also makes you understand about focus and discipline in class, where you have to stand at attention, because Taekwondo is a Korean like military style. All right. Some martial arts aren't like that, but Taekwondo definitely is. You know, we stand at attention. We say, yes, sir. We say, no, sir. And we stand in a rigid line at the beginning of class. We do our stretches together. We work out together. And that's all to develop focus on one goal. And every student might have a slightly different goal of what they want to accomplish, but all of them ultimately are trying to better themselves through discipline. Self love
yeah,
is what I say discipline is.
it is self-love because you think that you're being nice to yourself by indulging in laziness or just poor focus, but really you're not doing yourself any favors to go down that path, huh?
No, it's
So
not. I think that if you're lazy or you're just sitting on the couch watching TV, that's a form of distraction. You know, like the devil tries to get in your mind and distracts you from becoming a better version of yourself. It's okay to, you know, go watch a movie once in a while, or, you know, kind of eat something that's not super good for you once in a while, but you don't want to indulge in it. And the biggest thing is a lot of people don't reach their ultimate purpose in life because of distractions. It's really bad nowadays because we have social media, we have all these different tools. Even when I watch TikTok, you could see that TikTok is broken down into like a minute or 30 or a minute or like 3 minutes, and then it's on to another thing. You're not really focused on something. You're jumbled up. You're constantly seeing something else all the time. In martial arts, you have to stop and then focus in on what you're trying to work on, and you try to master that technique or that form or that breaking or whatever it is that you're doing in the classroom. So you're really pushing your mind to a limit of disciplining it to have focus, to stay on your goal as long as you need to be, whether it's to get your next belt or to get a black belt might take years, or to become a master might take over a decade.
true, true, so true. Yes. Um, yes, we touched upon the parts of martial arts that is more than the physical training, especially the discipline. There's confidence building, especially I remember the small children in your class that they were their confidence had not you're shaping their confidence, making them feel like, hey, I can do this, right? That's a
Yeah,
magical thing you're doing with those, right?
yeah, definitely. You know, one of the things about confidence is it's really how others see you. You know, you could be unconfident, but put on an act and act like you are confident. But self-esteem or self-confidence is how you view yourself. And the one of the things that's really important was several years ago, I got the opportunity to teach at a high school, and I got to teach a class called career education. And in that class, it talked about the 10 things that make somebody successful in life. And one of the first ones was appearance. And they talked about how people see other people, how people see you, and then how you view yourself. So there's three parts to the appearance that you kind of got to understand: how you see others, how they view you, and then how you view yourself. And then I remember in the textbook, it really talked about self-imagery or how you view yourself is honestly the most important part. I mean, if you think you're a loser, you're going to become a loser. If you think you're a champion, you're going to become a champion. You know who you are, you're going to identify with people that you like based on them having the same mindset. But if you don't know who you are and you're just drifting, you could run into the wrong person that you definitely don't want to hang out with, because you know what they always say, birds of a feather flock together. If you hang out with losers, you're going to become a loser. If you hang out with champions, you're going to become a champion. And I think champions really stay focused on what they want to do. And I think being around those type of people that are like-minded like you and have similar goals gives you kind of like this mastermind alliance. You kind of build energy off of them. And that's one of the things about teamwork that's extremely important, just not in martial arts, but in life.
So true. Yes, these principles are dear to me. And I think some of us learn these just by life smacking us around. We start learning things, but you would be easier to learn them from a martial arts setting as a child rather than wait uh, in your 20s and 30s to learn these same lessons. That would be,
Yeah, you can either have your parents discipline you and then you start disciplining yourself, or you can have life discipline you. Life
life
disciplining you isn't usually fun at all.
is
It's
a
way worse
brutal.
than your parents, that's for sure.
Yes, it's so true. Yes, yes. Um, Many people think martial arts is just for kids, but I know you work with students of all ages. What are some of the biggest benefits that Taekwondo offers for adults?
One of the things that you need to really work on, especially when you get older, is flexibility. Flexibility kind of prevents injuries. It also makes you feel more alive. You know, if you're not sore, like you threw your back out or something like that, that really prohibits you from being able to work well. I think that your health is extremely important of being effective, especially when it comes to focus. And when you're adult, you have to have more focus on what you're doing than when you're a child. Children kind of are still at the stage where they're trying to find their identity. So going around and kind of searching for things is like it's okay for them to do it because they still have a lot more time behind them usually. But as you get an adult, you kind of know who you are, and you kind of want to focus on that. And if you know that that's not who you are, you want to change that. But like I said, your physical health really dictates on how well of a performance you're going to do in life. And if you don't stretch out, you don't do the calisthenics, you learning how to kick and punch helps you with your balance, helps you with your flexibility. It just helps you with your mindset in general when you're inside a class in martial arts. And a lot of people, they stop learning when they get older. They get their college degree and they think, well, I accomplished what I wanted, but in martial arts, it's an ever growing concept of always trying to better yourself as a human being uh, through self expression, through the expression of the techniques that you're trying to learn in the class. You could see an improvement of them. And then that makes you realize that, hey, if I can improve in this area, I can improve in other areas of my life as well.
This is so true. And these are such valuable lessons. And yes, yes. Before we continue, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Iva Road Dog Sitting. If you're looking for a safe, fun place for your friendly dog, Iva Road Dog Sitting serves the entire Saginaw area. They have a big fenced yard, a cozy home environment, and all dogs get free daily walks. Dogs love it there. Mention this podcast and get 3 free days of dog sitting. That's a $100 value. Text Iva Road Dog Sitting at 989-954-7210. And we are back with Master Mark Kanaar. Some of our listeners may be interested in starting martial arts, but feel intimidated. What advice would you give them?
Well, the thing is first thing you got to do is you got to realize that that might be a reoccurring issue with a lot of other things in your life, being afraid to start new stuff. One of the things that I always think about, because I'm somebody who suffers with what I call anxiety, and what I title anxiety is fear of the future. So I give it that title. I said, you know what? I have to go somewhere in life. I have to meet somebody somewhere and maybe I don't know that place. And it starts to create anxiety of like, hey, what if I mess up? What if I don't make it? Things like that. Well, then I identify it as, hey, all you're doing is you're having fear of the future. You need to make sure you go do it because after you accomplish it, you have to think about who are you going to become. A couple of weeks ago, we had this meeting for the teachers at SVSU, and I got there, and guess what? Nobody was at the place we were supposed to meet. And then pretty soon, this anxiety happened like, oh, what if I get yelled at by my bosses? What if the principal gets mad at me? What if the VP gets mad at me? And then I checked my email and I realized they just moved the room. But I do remember feeling like this anxiety of not knowing what I did. Maybe I went to the wrong place or, I didn't follow the right directions. And a lot of people are going to feel like that in martial arts because when we watch the media, martial arts really isn't about bettering ourselves lots of times. It's a lot about you doing combat. And the combative stuff that we do in class isn't something that you just start out with doing. We take time and work on the techniques in order to help students understand what they're going to do. They create a game plan on how to do any type of combatives or sparring. And the great thing about going into something like that in martial arts, when you're sparring, it helps you with some ideas that you need to have in your life. The first one is, I would say, to have very quick decision making skills. Someone punches at you, what are you going to do? Are you going to block? Are you going to move? Are you going to try to counter them? And you have to have those quick decision making skills when you're out there sparring. The other thing is you're going to get hit, you're going to get beat up a little bit. But how are you going to take it? Are you going to cry and run away, or are you just going to say, "Hey, I'm going to suck it up and keep weathering the storm"? And these ideas are right in life. You might have an opportunity, and then you stop and think, "I don't know if I should do it." And then if you don't do it later on in life, you're going to have regret. You say, "Oh, what if I would have did that with Alex? What if I didn't do the podcast tonight?" You know what I'm saying? I could be like, "Oh, I kind of have anxiety getting on here with Alex, even though I know him really well, but I still went out and did it." You just got to say, hey, I'm going to try it. It's not going to be as bad as I think. I'm just having fear of the future, and I need to just kind of step up and try to go around it and see who I become. When I
Yeah.
face that type of anxiety and fear dead on and walk through and take it, those are usually the best like feelings of life. The greater the resistance, the greater the reward. And if you're scared to come down to a martial art class, I would challenge you just to come and sit and watch one first. You don't have to sign up. You can just come down and check out and see what they do. You'll realize that you're in a very positive environment. And one thing I can tell you about Saginaw is there's a lot of haters. Okay. And in martial arts, in our class, we don't have very many haters. We have people that are trying to build you up because we all have the same goal of trying to become a better version of ourselves. So if you are afraid to do martial arts, just look at it this way. You have fear of anxiety, you have fear of the future, you have anxiety. Just come down and check it out and know that you'll be a better person facing your fears.
I think martial arts and Taekwondo especially is a cure for a lot of anxiety because if you never learned how to fight, well, that when you go to a social place with strangers, you don't feel as confident or as relaxed as you would if you had some training. You should, right? I think the more training you get in martial arts, the less anxiety you have because you feel more capable of self-defense. Would
Yeah,
you
that's
agree?
100% true. And the way I see it is sometimes people have anxiety over little tiny things. The thing is that you should try to go through something that gives you a little bit more anxiety because once you accomplish it, you'll think, well, that wasn't that bad. Why was I worried about something that was even minor? You kind of need to develop the ability to overcome anxiety through things that are a little bit stressful. You can do a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. You don't want to do a major jump like you see some people that go to war and they come back and they're mentally unwell because of the stress that they were under. That was too much. But in life,
That's true.
us babying people and not having them face their fear doesn't really cure the problem. We really need to get them out there and do something that's a little bit stressful, but we still have their back. The instructors here still
Yes.
have your guys' back, and we try to get you to struggle through some things that might be difficult. But in the long run, it just builds your character and builds you as a human being.
Controlled stress is healthy. Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. Yes. Um, okay. And what is one of the most inspiring transformations you have seen in a student?
In a student, I have a lot to tell you the truth.
I
I just
believe.
not only in just martial arts, but um, also just teaching at the high school. So I have a young lady, her name's Gabriella, and she came from another club, and she got last place at states in the black belt division a couple years ago. And I got the privilege of being able to work with her. And I kind of just told her, hey, this is how you win. And sometimes you run into people in life where you have a connection with them. Like I'll tell people, I could be your best coach or I could be your worst coach. If our personalities don't click, I might be your worst coach. But if you can kind of trust me and I trust you, and we realize we kind of are on the same frequency of mindset, a lot of things can happen. And with Gabriella, she ended up getting last place at states. And then 3 months later, she got first place at nationals and got on the U.S. national team. And then she went around and she kind of just listened to me. I said, Gabriella, just go be an ambassador to our school. Go to random tournaments, go to random schools, help out their students, travel around. You're going to gain all this experience. And then pretty soon, before you know it, she got on like a professional martial art team. And she did really, really well. She got two gold medals or two silver medals at the Warrior Cup, which is a world level event this year. And I just saw today she went to a qualifier to try to go to nationals for another organization, and she got two golds and a silver. And it's just really remarkable to see the improvement. She went to Utah last weekend, and I was like watching her thinking, man, it's going to take a long time before she gets a lot better. And all of a sudden, she comes back from Utah and she looks way, way better than she did before. And I posted it online, and a couple people that are her competitors was like, how could she get how could she get that much better? And I said, you just got to see it to believe it. And a lot of it had to do with her determination and drive. It just wasn't me. She had a lot of reasons why she wanted to be good at what she did. And those things that might be down inside of somebody's soul, when you can fix them through martial art training, you really are like a shining star. That's just how it is in life.
That's a wonderful story. And I've seen her on Facebook, and she is truly inspiring. And you can tell she gives uh she gives it her all. She's totally in the zone, right? So
Yeah, she
that's
definitely is.
fantastic.
She has like
That
that
is
very, very high level focus that you need in order to be a winner.
the warrior spirit, huh?
Yeah, the warrior spirit,
Yeah,
that's for sure.
yeah, awesome. Um, is there this is a similar question. Is there a moment in your teaching career that stands out as truly unforgettable?
Truly unforgettable. Um, I have a whole bunch. Sometimes kids say crazy stuff in class that really cracks me up, and I know it's more of a humor. One time I had a
Yeah.
boy who got yelled at by his mom before he came to class, and I was having him run laps, and I saw that he was crying, and I said, "Hey, Joey, why are you crying?" And he looks at me, and he goes, "I'm not crying. My eyeballs are sweating because you're working me so hard." And I remember that was just like something that I thought was really funny. And then earlier this week, this kid thought that we were bowing to the American and Ohio State flag instead of the Korean flag. And the parents and I just really, really started busting up. But on the flip side, I've seen kids that were down in like a sparring match at tournaments. I had a kid named Clayton, and he trains with me over here at Midland, and he was down in a sparring match, and he came back and won. And I could just see how much heart he had, how much he really wanted to win. Nothing mattered to him except that moment in the ring where he just wanted to be the best. And even other people that were at the event like couldn't believe how hard this kid was trying to come back and win. And I always tell the students, they're like, "Hey, what are you thinking about when you're losing?" I go, "Well, I don't think I'm losing. I think that what are they going to say when I come back and win?" I have to have that mindset of trying to inspire others that even though that I'm down, the round isn't over yet, and I still have that possibility of coming back and winning. I always say, what are they going to say? What are they going to do? And what are they going to think when I come back and win? And when you're fighting and you're losing and you're down and out, it's the greatest feeling in the world to come back and succeed because everybody else might think that you're not going to be able to do it, but you can't give up on yourself. And that's one of the big things about martial arts, especially like our black belt test, is very tough. And it really shows how much heart our students have in order to get through that test. I mean, they stand in horseback stance for 20 minutes. They have to They have to kick through five pine boards. They have to do a power break. A lot of them break bricks with their hands on their tests. They have to fight a whole bunch of people, 2-on-1 at the end. All of that stuff shows that their character, and it also shows how bad they want their belt. Once they earn their belt, they realize the potential that lies inside of them. I don't have to be over them all the time, telling them how great they are or try to pull the greatness out. They did it themselves through the challenges that they faced.
Really inspiring, truly inspiring. Okay. Saginaw, like many Michigan cities, has its challenges, and building a strong community can sometimes be tough. How do you see the role of martial arts uh, i- in building a community and like Saginaw?
Well, I have this big dream that I'm trying to do right now, and I'll tell you guys about it. It's just an idea that I have in my head. So, Bridgeport High School has allowed me to teach martial arts as a PE class this semester at the school, and I actually had one of my first students in the class actually compete today and get bronze at a competition. It was really exciting for me. Um, what I want to do eventually is help my Bridgeport location become nonprofit so I can have students right out of the middle school and elementary school get over to my club and kind of work um, with my instructors for 3 hours from 3 to 6. And that way their parents have time to go to work and they can use the facility almost like a daycare. And right now I'm in the works of working on it. And what will happen over time is if I have students that are in my regular martial art class, they can get up higher ranks and I can actually hire them to help out the younger students. I think that Saginaw has a big problem with number one being not everybody, but some people don't value education. If you don't value education, you don't really value about trying to invest in yourself. The greatest investment you can make is inside of yourself. And once you become valuable to our society, you should really give back. And I think investing in others is one of the most important investments that you can make. If I'm able to work with these kids at the high school and even maybe at the middle school, if I can hire them to help out those kids that come over there, it'll make them understand how important that is. Because a lot of people don't realize that investing in others is a very important investment, especially when you're young. I feel like that was my number one drive when I was younger was to really try to work with other people and to try to give them what I know, try to invest in what I know. And not only that, when I taught somebody something like martial arts, it made me understand the art even better. It made me a better teacher. So it's a win-win situation. But like I said, Saginaw has to change its mentality when it comes to education because everybody needs to invest in themselves more. And I understand some people have a tough time with time. Maybe they're just working so much they can't. But you really need to invest in yourself more than you invest in your job because you're only going to be here a certain number of years. Your job's just going to replace you, and you want to try to become the greatest version of yourself.
Yes, yes. True, true words. Yes, yes. I totally agree with that. Yes. Um, Master Kanaar, where can our listeners learn more about your school and how to sign up for classes?
Well, we have five locations. We have one in Caro, one in Bridgeport, one in the Fashion Square Mall in Saginaw, one in Midland, and one in Hemlock. My phone number is 989-280-3402. You can just text or give me a call. Like I said, I teach full time at Bridgeport High School. So if you call me, I'm not going to be able to answer. If you text me, I can kind of text you back during lunch or maybe like a 5 minute break. I actually have my phone like on an auto thing where it will give you information automatically too as well. And then we can just get you to come in and check us out. The first 2 weeks are free at all of our clubs, and you can see if you like it or not. And we have really reasonable prices. We have family discounts. We have everything like that. And we really like working with families because, probably the most important thing you have is your thoughts. And, having memories is a byproduct of your thoughts. You're there, you can literally think about what you did as a family when you get older. And I know that I wish my dad would have started with me in martial arts. And when I see dads and moms start with their kids, it's just very touching to me because I know they're building family memories and they're building their bonds of their family even stronger. That they accomplish something like getting a black belt together is just very, very, very precious. It's sacred. You can't put a value on something like that. And I
Yeah.
just see families become stronger because of martial arts because they're all going towards the same goal.
Yes, I totally agree. You know, if I was a father and I can't always be there to protect my child, but by taking him to Taekwondo classes, now he has a better chance to be able to defend himself when I'm not there. Because how could I defend him in elementary school or, how could you can't be there. So they have to learn self-defense uh, on their own. Also, I think it makes them more that strong, that mentally
Mhm.
strong to say, I know how to defend myself. I don't have to run to mom or dad or the worst. We do have a bullying problem in schools, don't we? But it's sad because they can actually kill themselves. But really, I think that going to a martial arts class would be the healthiest thing for them, right?
Yeah, and the other thing is that there might be listeners in here that are bullies, and the reason why people bully is because they don't feel good about themselves. They have low self-esteem, and they literally will pick on other people to make themselves feel better. They're like a spiritual parasite, and they just need to have a different mindset. They need to have the challenge of kind of finding their own identity and also understanding that picking on other people isn't going to make you feel better. Helping out other people makes you feel a whole lot better than bullying. Because let me tell you, when I was in middle school, I was a bully, and I've sent people messages apologizing for my behavior before, and it was because I had low self-esteem. It's just the truth. you know but that same energy that I had when I was younger, now I'm using it in an opposite direction to try to build up the characters of other people. So that's just really, really, really important.
Yes, super important. And you did an excellent job of explaining it. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us today. Your passion for Taekwondo and the positive impact you're making in Saginaw is truly inspiring. Listeners, if you ever wanted to try martial arts, now is the perfect time. Go check out Ko Taekwondo. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. You can find us on Spotify, Facebook, and YouTube. Just search for Saginaw Spotlight. And if you are interested in advertising on the show or sponsoring an episode, this is a great way to reach new customers in Saginaw. And if you want to be a guest on the show, that's great too. Please message me, Alex, at 989-954-7210. Until next time, Saginaw, keep shining.